Hey, Engineering Gals, it's your host, Maritza Bravo. Welcome to the Engineering Gals Gal Chat series. Today, I'm so excited to bring in some of our Armenian sisters to talk about the current events that are occurring in Armenia. So welcome to the Engineering Gals YouTube live series. We're bringing together phenomenal Armenians from various engineering fields to discuss the current events in Armenia. This event is being hosted by Engineering Gals. Engineering Gals was founded back in 2016. It is an online community for engineers. The mission is to share information and resources to inspire the next generation of engineers. Just a disclaimer, just a reminder, this event is not sponsored or endorsed by any government, corporation, or entity. It is an independent event hosted by Engineering Gals. So let's go ahead and roll into introductions. So today we have Arshi. If you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Arshi Hogikyan, Arshi for short. I was born in Yerevan, Armenia, and I lived there until I was about 6, 7 years old. I came to the US when I was about 8. I've lived in Los Angeles majority of my life. But I went to a Armenian high school called Rosen Alex Pribos. There I learned how to read, write, and sing Armenian. From a very young age, I was interested in defense aircraft, in cars and rockets. So I kind of, being the stubborn person that I am, chose to pursue that. I went to USC studying aerospace engineering, and I've been working in the aerospace industry ever since.
Thank Arshi for coming into our panel. Next, we have Laurie. Oh, your mic is muted, Laurie.
Sorry, thank you. Hi, I'm Laurie Izakelian. I'm a first-generation Armenian American. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. Similar to Arshi, I went to an Armenian school from kindergarten through 12th grade. I went to the same school at AGBU, Manugian Demirjian School. And from there, I decided I was really into like math and sciences. So I decided to go to University of California, Irvine, where I got my civil engineering bachelor's. And then briefly afterwards, I started working in the construction industry. And then I decided to do my master's in environmental engineering. And that was a really great experience. And I got that from Cal State Fullerton. And then I went into the design. I switched from construction to design, I guess, industry in the realm of civil engineering. And worked in design for a few years. And then now I'm switched back to construction. I'm currently a construction manager. So yeah, thanks for having me here today.
Thank you, Laurie, for joining our panel today. Next, we have Karina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karin. I am, again, born and raised in Los Angeles. I attended an Armenian high school, actually from preschool all the way through high school. I went on to UC Irvine, where I studied chemical engineering. I specialized in energy and environment and minored in global sustainability. I currently work in process engineering and design in a consulting firm in Southern California.
Thank you for joining us today. Next one on the list, we have Maryam.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maryam Demirjan, and great pronunciation, Maritza. Thank you. Most people know me as Meg in the workplace. I am a civil engineer. I was born here and raised in Los Angeles. I also attended Armenian private school all through preschool till my senior year, after which I graduated from Cal State University, Northridge with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a Master of Science in structural engineering. I have my professional engineer's license, which was obtained in 2018, and I've been working in the public sector for 6 years now. I've done traffic design, structural engineering design, and I'm currently in project management. In my very spare free time, I do a lot of work with STEM outreach for minorities and students through ASCE, as well as promoting the Armenian art and culture.
Thank you, Meg, for joining us today. Our last panelist, we have, it's Maryam.
Thank you, Marta, for the introduction. Hi, everybody. I'm Maryam, and this is my little cat, Sushi, who was just adopted. We're very happy to be here today. Thank you for hosting us. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Armenia. I lived in Armenia until I was about 19. Then I moved to the States to pursue my education. I double majored in math and electrical engineering. I got my master's from Columbia University, again in electrical engineering, and I'm currently working on my PhD. I live in New York City, but I'm at the moment in Yerevan because things happened, and I just wanted to be here to help out as much as I could. So I also am the director of QuIDIX Armenia, where we do a lot of humanitarian work, but at the same time, I have organized robotics camps and other initiatives that Arshi is actually part of in Armenia. That's a little bit about myself. I'm very, very excited to be in this live because I've never met this many engineering women, and let alone Armenian women, right? So it's a very special day for me in my over 20 years of being in school. So thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. So thank you, everybody. Please comment on the YouTube live chat. Please let us know where you're tuning in from. We would love to learn about our audience and what you guys want to learn more about Armenia. So today's discussion will go ahead and start with the location of Armenia. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and maybe if Meg or Arshi or anyone who wants to jump in and kind of describe exactly where's the location of Armenia in the map. So go ahead and give me a second while I share my screen. Let's see. So here we go. So this is a map of Armenia. So you guys want to go ahead and let us know exactly what is going on here.
Thank you, Maritza. So I'll just explain what's going on in this map. The dark red that you guys see is the current Republic of Armenia and its internationally recognized borders. Adjacent to that, to the southeast, is the Republic of Artsakh, which also obtained independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. We also see, a spread as to where Armenians have lived over time in the South Caucasus and what is currently known as Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and also Azerbaijan and Georgia. So that gives us just an overview of where Armenians have lived and where the current republics of Armenia and Artsakh are located.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that description. So we now have a better understanding of where Armenia is. It is surrounded by Turkey, Iran, Russia. So that's really good to know exactly where it's located. So thank you so much for that. So let's go ahead and run into some topics here. I think the most important thing to do is start with definitions. So we started off with the location of Armenia. So now we have a little bit more better understanding of where it's located. And if you guys want to go ahead and start with definitions, Meg, if you want to take this section over, please go for it.
Sure. I don't have one off the top of my head, but some important names to keep in mind are, first and foremost, Artsakh is what us Armenians refer to as a region. So that's what we recognize it as. And the international community recognizes it as Nagorno-Karabakh. Sorry, I have a bit of an echo. And Nagorno-Karabakh means Black Mountainous region in, I believe, Russian. So that's probably what you're going to come across on most media outlets. Next, we have President Erdogan, and he is the president of Turkey. So he might come up a few times in our discussions. President Aliyev, who is the president of Azerbaijan, his name will come up. The Prime Minister of Armenia, his name is Nikol Pashinyan. So that's another important name to keep in mind. I don't know if there's anything else you girls want me to cover. If so, please let me know. I'll happily provide a definition.
Okay, thank you, Meg. I think that was very beneficial. I went ahead and typed it into our YouTube live comments for you guys to read as well. I think that would be helpful. So we'll go ahead and start with conversation of identity. So as you guys know, we are engineering gals, and we like to highlight and inspire women to become engineers, and all of you guys are within the STEM community. So I wanted just to take a minute and kind of just talk about your experience as an Armenian female in the STEM industries. So I think what my first question here for you guys is, what are some things that you associate with your Armenian identity? So we'll go ahead and start with Arshi.
Awesome. This is a great question. I think first and foremost, what I associate with being Armenian is a relentless pursuit to survive, and thrive, and succeed. I think that's one thing that all Armenians around the world have in common. And this drive to survive and succeed stems from the 1915 Armenian genocide, and I now realize and feel this drive once again after the 2020 war in Karabakh. But additionally, what does being Armenian mean really? For me personally, I read this quote that said, "Every part of me I can describe in Armenian," and it's very true. Every single cell in my body I feel is Armenian. I think in Armenian sometimes, even at work. I count in Armenian sometimes. In LA traffic, sometimes I yell at people in Armenian. I think with me, I carry the experiences, the songs, the music, and the pain of my ancestors. So I feel very deeply connected to them. Not only because I was born in Armenia, I speak the language and I write the language, but also because there's this Armenian soul that really exists in every Armenian person around the world. It's intangible. It's very hard to explain in words, but it's this very deep-rooted connection that we all feel.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Arshi. I think we both share the same. When I'm in traffic, I also yell in Spanish. So I could definitely relate to that. So my same question is to you, Meg. What are some things that you associate with your Armenian identity?
Yeah, going off of what Arshi just said, I think the biggest trait that I have that's so Armenian of me is my resilience. I mean, it's something that we all inherently have because of just the history of our people and where we come from and how much we've endured. And they call it like generational trauma that we carry on to the next generation. And it's kind of like it parallels the saying of what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. You know, we've endured a lot of hardships, and what we do is we survive and we teach, you know, the next generation that you need to, you know, pick yourself up, you know, and just get stronger and thrive. That's, you know, you thrive and you survive and you pass on that strength and mindset. So I think that's one of my favorite qualities of myself and of basically any Armenian that I know and I meet. We all have that in us. So definitely, yeah, our resilience.
Thank you, Meg. Just to go back, I want, thank you so much, Meg. Resilience is one of the biggest traits that you could have. And now that I'm kind of just tapping into understanding what's happening in Armenia and your history, I could definitely relate to how resilience is one of your key traits. So I just want to address, I believe someone in the audience said that there's an echo on the YouTube Live. You guys, if there's an echo on the YouTube Live, please let us know through the comments so we could go ahead and fix that for you guys. If the audio sounds great for you, please also let us know that on our YouTube Live comments. So please let us know, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next question, which is, have any of you had to navigate the topic of authenticity, and if it relates to your Armenian identity? And if so, would you share your experience? So let's go ahead and start with Laurie. Your mic is muted, Laurie.
Sorry, I'm so bad with that. I think this is a really great question, considering that, you know, most of us, you're either born in Armenia, raised in Armenia, or, you know, we were born and raised here in Los Angeles, but, you know, attended Armenian schools for our entire childhood. And then coming out of that, you know, you kind of struggle with this topic of this authenticity of what is my identity? Am I Armenian? Am I Armenian American? Like, where do I go from here? So I think first and foremost, I always identify myself more as like, I'm an Armenian first, just because of, you know, the point that Arshi and Meg brought up is our resilience. Like, if we don't identify ourselves as Armenian first, then who will? Right? And I think a lot of that relates to, you know, growing up surrounded with the Armenian community. Like me personally, for example, like you know, we all have big, loving, caring families, and you know, and growing up just immersed in the Armenian culture and not really fully understanding the American culture that you're surrounded in. It's kind of like a big shock once you graduate and like you go into like a non-Armenian centric community. So a lot of there was a big struggle, especially like my first year, trying to really hone in on like what is my identity? Like how do I still keep my Armenian identity and keep my Armenian culture going, but now in the diaspora world, not essentially like an Armenian centric world. So that's something that definitely I think that a lot of you know, first generation or anyone who comes from another country, you know, from Armenia probably struggles with. But, you know, you just have to be resilient and keep going and pretty much like make people aware of, hey, this is my culture, this is my language, these are my traditions. You know, I ran into a lot of people in my freshman year at UCI that didn't even know what Armenia was. And that was like really shocking. Like, how do you not even know what a country or a specific, like a certain culture is, that's especially one that's so ancient and old and historical and has so much significance. So yeah, I think that, you know, this struggle of being authentic, you know, like, am I Armenian enough? That question has really plagued me a lot over the years. So I'm interested to know like what your guys' perspective is on that.
Thank you, Laurie, for sharing that. I think anyone who's first generation, that we all, you know, maybe our parents or grandparents migrated, or even ourselves, if we migrated here in the U.S., sometimes, you know, we do run into that problem about identity. Do we identify ourselves as Americans first, or do we identify ourselves as where our family, our heritage is from? So if anyone would like to add on that, please let me know. So thank you, Laurie, for sharing that. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next question, which is, what is it like to be Armenian, and how has your experience or perspective changed over the course of your life? So let's go ahead and start with Karina.
So I kind of want to read something to you guys. October was Armenian Heritage Month, and my company has a diversity celebration platform that I use to share about our culture and what being Armenian means to me. So I'm going to go ahead and read a snippet from that to answer this question. To put it simply, being Armenian is a blessing. You have centuries of history, tragedy, triumph, and culture coursing through your veins. It means your heritage is interwoven in the fabric that makes you, you. Armenians are a proud people. Our songs are filled with stories of survival. Our Bert and Yarhushta dances demonstrate unity and strength. Our various foods reflect influences from the diaspora. Our traditional daras, which is clothing, tells a story of each historic Armenian town. Our architecture showcases historic, Soviet, and contemporary styles. As an Armenian, you feel the support of all those who came before you and paved the way, the resilience of your ancestors pounding through your heart. You feel responsible to stand against injustice anywhere, just as any oppressed nation does. The pull of the homeland on your heart, just as any displaced peoples do. You feel at home in a land you were not born in, an instant camaraderie when you meet another Armenian anywhere in the world. Being Armenian means everything, as it is entirely at the core of my very being. Components of the Armenian culture, from the architecture to the dances and food, are each deeply rooted in the Armenian nation's history and land. That Armenian history, the centuries-old lifetime of the Armenian nation, which has led up to present day, shaping each and every Armenian into unique individuals whose pulses beat in unison, whose collective strength is unparalleled, and whose existence is resistance. So that's, my take on what it's like to be Armenian in terms of how my experiences and or perspective have changed over time. Like a lot of the people on this panel, I grew up in an Armenian community. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, which is, a prominent diasporan city. I went to Armenian school, and I was constantly surrounded by the Armenian heritage and culture and peers and friends. So growing up, my Armenian identity, was closely related to the culture, and it just meant, going to school and, hanging out with my Armenian friends. When I, went to college, again, I think Laurie touched base on this, where it was, I wasn't constantly surrounded by Armenians. It meant looking for Armenians in every class. And if I was the only one, it meant to do everything that I could to inform my peers and classmates and teachers about where is Armenia, what does being Armenian mean to me, and what do they need to know in terms of supporting us and learning about what's going on in Armenia right now. So that's kind of how my Armenian identity changed. It was more about informing people around me and also doing my part in giving back to my homeland. Maritza, I think you're muted.
Oh, yes, I was muted. Thank you so much, Karina, for sharing that. And that was a very beautiful passage that you read to us. And, I could definitely relate to that when, there's not necessarily a lot of Armenians surrounding you, especially when you get to higher level education. And maybe once you move out of your hometown, now there's not much Armenians to communicate with. So I love that you were in search of, people that share the same culture and heritage as you. I think that's very important to always find those friends that could definitely relate to you, not only in a friendship base, but also in a culture base. It's also important to have that, to have friends that are, your peers that share that with you. So thank you so much. So let's go ahead and go into the second topic, which is the reason why we are here today. So we kind of talked about your Armenian heritage, how you identify yourself, your journey through going into college and not being able to meet so many Armenians like you were used to in your hometown. So let's go ahead and go to the second topic, which can you guys kind of give us a background of recent events? Like, what is going on in Armenia, and why do I see all of you guys active on social media, and why are you guys sharing all the information that you guys are currently sharing? So let's go ahead and start with Arshi.
Thank you so much. This is a passionate topic for me. So essentially, what's going on in Armenia right now is there was a recent war between Azerbaijan, but not mainly Azerbaijan backed by their big brother Turkey, with the help of Syrian mercenaries, with the help of ISIS fighters, with the help of Syrian defense tech, and also some aid from Pakistan. So all those countries together basically confronted the de facto state of Karabakh, kind of saying that that land belongs to them. So just a quick history lesson for everyone who is watching currently. Armenian people, it's very well known, are and have been the indigenous people of those lands for hundreds of years. If you go back into the Soviet regime, things got a little bit tricky with Stalin gifting some of those lands to Azerbaijan and then also to Armenia. So that's kind of where the conflict came from. Post-Soviet era, Azerbaijan and Armenia were kind of in skirmishes, in disagreements, and in conflicts and wars over that region, which is populated by majority Armenian people. And the Armenian people of Karabakh did not want to be under Azeri control. At this point, it should be very obvious to the international community why Armenians would not want to be in Azeri control. It's because they have very rarely been allowed to live in peace under the Azeri and Turkish governments. So while the world was busy with a pandemic, while the U.S. and the West was busy with elections, pop culture busy with what color Trump's hair and skin is, Azerbaijan took this as the perfect opportunity to attack Karabakh and Artsakh, to commit multiple war crimes against the ethnic indigenous Armenian population of the region, bombing schools, shelling hospitals, dwellings of just innocent citizens. And so from my point of view, this has been the collective nightmare of the entire Armenian population, whether you live in Artsakh, whether you live in Yerevan, Paris, Los Angeles, New York. It's basically has been a dagger to the heart. And I'm sure there's a few other people who like to expand on this. I know that Maryam, who is in the panel today, has been boots on the ground, doing God's work, collecting funds and delivering personally food and kind of aid to the people in Artsakh. So I'm sure she has so much to say on this.
Thank you, Arshi, for sharing that. That's definitely something that I'm still learning about. So thank you so much for taking the time to just educate and inform us of exactly what is going on. And I believe let's go ahead and move on to Maryam.
Yes, thank you so much. I do have a lot of things to share. So because I'm in Yerevan right now, and I wanted to maybe say what it means to be Armenian for me. I'm from Yerevan, and I've been born here, and I lived here for 19 years, right? But one thing that's very important to me is going to the Erebuni fortress that was built in 782 BC, and just sitting there and just looking at my city, because it really connects me to who we are and where we live. So it's not that this war that happened, it's not a fight for land. It's not a fight for a piece of land that somebody wants and then somebody wants more. No, it's a fight for survival, and it's a fight for connecting to who we are. And to build on what Arshi said, I'm currently in Yerevan, and our team has been traveling all over Armenia and Artsakh from day 2 of the war. And first we started with delivering medicine, because the first day was such a shock that it was just impossible to deal with how many wounded people there were. Civilians, children, and soldiers. So the war crimes that Arshi mentioned, they never stopped. Every single day. One time, the maternity hospital, when it got shelled in Stepanakert, our team was there. They left 5 minutes before the shelling. So I'm very grateful that they're alive. You know, every day you wake up and just more news about people that you know that died. At this moment, I can't count how many people I know that have been killed. I just can't count anymore. But during the war, it was chaos. But I wanted to tell you what it's like at the moment in Armenia. There's increasingly, now I started seeing more men in the streets. During the war, cities were emptying out. Actually, villages were completely empty. Yerevan was a little bit, it had more men, like when you walked in the streets, you could see men, but not that many. At the moment, there is more people, except most of them are disabled. Somebody doesn't have a leg, somebody doesn't have an eye. My cousin lost his eye and he can't use his arm. So it's the post-war effect that we're seeing already. And if you ask me, things just started. We have so much work to do. Things just started. We have to keep fundraising and providing aid, and we have to keep providing sustainable aid. At the moment, we have 100,000 refugees. That's the second biggest city in Armenia, Gyumri, has about 70,000 people. 100,000, that's bigger than the second biggest city in Armenia. We have that many people who are homeless, jobless, lost everything, lost their family members, and don't know what to do. So at the moment in Armenia, it's not only even the pain of losing our homeland of 4,000 years and being forced to leave our identity and run away for survival, but also having to deal with the post-war effect of the depression, the economy falling apart, and people everywhere just having funerals. But, right, thank you. If I talk, I'll talk forever, so I'll stop here.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So it seems like you are right now in the center of exactly what's going on in Armenia right now. You're seeing all the post-war activities, all these men that are hurt and injured, the families that are homeless at the time. So yeah, we'll definitely go back to you, Maryam, and I want to learn more about how we can help and how our STEM community could get together and make a real impact for those 100,000 people that are homeless at the moment. But I want to keep talking about the topic of the background, the brief explanation, the recent events, because I want to learn exactly what led up to this event. I know there was a Armenian genocide years ago, decades ago, right? And people do talk about that. And here in California, we do recognize that as a genocide, which some other countries around the world, they don't recognize that. And I know Arshi did a great job explaining the events that led up to 2020. But I want to go back to Karina. Karina, do you have anything else to add about the current events? Like, why are we here right now?
Certainly. So I think, Maritza, you touched base on a few important factors. This didn't happen out of nowhere, and we need people to understand that. About a century ago, in 1915, there was the Armenian genocide, where 1.5 million Armenians, along with Assyrians, Greeks, and other minority groups, were massacred by the Ottoman Turks. And to this day, as you mentioned, there's a lot of inaction and silence from the international community, where geopolitics and other priorities are favored over human lives, unfortunately, over justice. So fast forward through the 90s, in the late 80s and 90s, there were the Sumgait and Baku programs. And this is where you see Azerbaijani aggression against, again, ethnic minorities, especially Armenians living in the region. And so in 1991, the Armenians of the Republic of Artsakh voted for their independence because they did not want to live under a government that was a threat to their very existence, essentially. However, the Republic of Artsakh is not internationally recognized by a lot of countries. And therefore, as Maryam also touched base on earlier today, there is this, I guess, discussion where Azerbaijan claims those are their lands. However, we know those are lands that are Armenians are indigenous to. So it's more so than just a fight over land. This is a fight for existence because we have seen what the perpetrators have been capable of doing in centuries past, and even not so long ago in the late 80s and early 90s. So why are we here now? On September 27th, Azerbaijan launched attacks on Artsakh and the Armenians there, especially civilian populations. And for about 43 days or so, there was, attacks going on, and there was war in the country. On November 9th, the Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, signed an agreement where it's essentially saying a certain portion of lands will be handed to Azerbaijan, and there will be some form of a ceasefire, or let's say it's a peace agreement, for lack of better words. Now, post-war, what we're dealing with is a lot of refugees, a lot of displaced people, infrastructure that has been destroyed. And so we're in this state where there's a lot of uncertainty. What's going to happen in years to come? Why is there uncertainty? Because there have been ceasefires in the past that have been breached, again, by Azerbaijan. So the people of Armenia and Artsakh, we're all on our heels. We don't know what's going to happen next. There's a lot of rebuilding that's going to need to be done. There's going to be a lot of rehealing that needs to be done. And we need the support of our non-Armenian friends and peers.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Karina, for giving us that backstory about exactly why are we here and that timeline. I think it's very important to have those key dates remembered to exactly understand what happened. So let's go ahead and go with Laurie. Laurie, do you want to go ahead and expand on this topic?
Yeah, and Karina, you made excellent points. I think one thing, the deeper historical context of all these current events is something that, that Armenians across the world, that's why we're standing up and yelling and shouting at people to be aware of what's going on. I mean, what happened in the genocide, and even before 1915, these genocides and massacres, they started in the late 1890s in Western Armenia, perpetrated by the Ottoman Turks and other tribes in the area, I guess. But all Armenians, all over the diaspora, we, from a very young age, we're ingrained. I don't even know if we can say we're born with this deep, immeasurable pain that, we see that our great grandparents and sometimes even great grandparents, we saw them as children, like the survivors, living with this pain and living with this struggle. And on top of that, none of that was recognized internationally. So for this to just start all over again, and you see some of these leaders citing, we need to continue what our grandfathers started. That's pouring salt in the wound. The reason why we are diasporan Armenians is because of the genocide, succinctly. And if we don't try to raise awareness, if we're not the ones trying to yell and shout for, hey, we need help, Armenia needs help, to our international peers, then no one will. And that's why you see every year, even before these new conflicts started, every single year in Los Angeles, you see thousands and thousands upon Armenians marching the streets, demanding for genocide recognition, and that's a big, deep pain that all Armenians feel. So with these recent events, that kind of magnifies that pain even more. I think, like Arshi kind of pointed that out in the beginning, that there's this intangible feeling, being an Armenian and growing up the way that you have. Our grandparents weren't that far removed from the genocide. I mean, they were the children of the genocide. So just seeing them, that intangible feeling is magnified, especially when you meet like another Armenian. You feel that instant connection, like some of the women mentioned earlier. And we just need to kind of build on that and grow and keep spreading awareness. And yeah, I just kind of want to provide that deeper historical context.
Thank you, Laurie, for sharing that. I could definitely see how, the genocide that happened in the early 1900s, and now that's, it's history repeating itself, and we want to let the entire world know exactly what is going on. And that is the reason why we are here today. So let's go ahead and jump into the next topic, which is, why should everyone, including non-Armenians, why should we care about this event? So let's go ahead and start with Meg.
Yeah, so this is an enormously important topic, and I could go on for days on this, and it's going to build off with a lot of what the girls talked about. One of them is that the media has been painting this narrative that what's going on right now is just a skirmish between two countries. That's not the case. You have over 100,000 indigenous peoples, Armenians, being displaced from their homes, and they've been living there for generations and for centuries. So a big lesson that the Armenian community has learned, and that everyone can learn, is that we've been exposing a lot of those media outlets, and they can't be fully trusted. We've seen a lot of them either have reporters that have hidden agendas. They've been spinning stories to promote, Azeri propaganda. It's just, we've seen that some of their reporters and some of the actual media outlets have been paid off by lobbyists from Turkey and Azerbaijan. I think there was a case where like $3 billion or $4 billion of Azeri money was being paid to lobbyists to spin the stories, or to even kill stories before they're released on the media. They don't want what's going on in Artsakh to come out to the media. And they've been doing, a great job with that, because you don't see a lot of coverage on what's going on. Something else that has not gotten a lot of recognition is the fact that so many war crimes have been committed by Turkey and Azerbaijan. They've been using cluster munitions. They've been targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure. They've been illegally using white phosphorus, which has detrimental effects to the environment. They've been breaching multiple ceasefires with no repercussions. They've been beheading and dismembering prisoners of war. They've been filming these disturbing acts and posting them on social media, for us to see. And I feel like this is the worst one, that they've been hiring Syrian and just known mercenaries from known terrorist organizations to be on the front lines and to do those beheadings. They've been paying them like $2,000 a month, or promising to pay them $2,000 a month to behead Armenians. A major thing that we want our non-Armenian colleagues to keep in mind is that this is going on during a pandemic. Not only is Armenia dealing with, packing the hospitals with COVID-19 victims, now there's an enormous influx of injured soldiers. And prefacing all of these events, in July, Azerbaijan had shelled a major PPE mask factory in Armenia that was essential for providing, protective equipment for Armenia's coronavirus response. So they have been planning this for a while now, and as the girls mentioned, every year on April 24th, our community goes out there and we march, and people ask, like, this happened 105 years ago. Why should we care? Why should the international community care? And our message is that the fact that this goes unpunished and unrecognized enables it to happen again. And we're seeing it. We're seeing the repetition of history, which means that this can happen anywhere to any culture or religion, so long as the world keeps a blind eye. So that's why you should care. And there's been a major increase in hate crimes towards the Armenian community. It's been going on in Europe, in France, Germany. It's been going on here in the US, particularly in San Francisco and Philadelphia. Armenians are being targeted. They're being attacked and killed, beheaded. And the last point I want to bring up is that this is not only a humanitarian crisis, but it's also a cultural genocide. Azeris have been quick to destroy centuries-old churches, destroy our statues, desecrate Armenian graves. What they're doing is they're trying to erase any evidence of Armenian existence on those lands, and they're rewriting history. So that's why we need the voice of the non-Armenian community as well to shed light onto this.
Thank you, Meg, for sharing that. Yeah, I think as a whole, it's very important, because if it's happening to Armenia, it can happen anywhere in any part of the world. And it is very important to recognize what's going on and to tell our leaders that we demand some type of action from them in order for them to stop this. So let's go ahead and go with Arshi. Let's see.
Hey guys, so I wanted to add a little bit to what Maryam said. So she's correct. History is repeating itself. And why is that so tragic and so scary for Armenians, right? So I want to put it this way for all the viewers to put it into perspective. Can you guys imagine living in a world where the Jewish Holocaust was never recognized? Can you imagine living in a world where in the year 2020, a German political leader stood up and quoted Hitler and commended Hitler on how he ruled Germany and how he was, how he treated the Jewish population with an iron fist. So that sounds insane when I say it myself, but that is and has been the reality of the Armenian people and the Armenian population in the year 2020. The leaders of Turkey and Azerbaijan have a very toxic, almost cancerous mentality and hate within them. And they are spreading this amongst their people. So Armenians were first, Assyrians are next. We are seeing this happen live, real time. Greeks are next. Basically, anyone who is not part of this pan-Turkic or pan-Turkism mission that President Erdogan and Aliyev have, everyone who is against this basically is targeted. As Maryam was saying, civilians are beheaded. Elderly Armenians have their ears cut off. Children are attacked. And it's so important. Like if you're in the US, why should you care? Because I think the threat is so toxic and so dangerous that I think soon it will be at our doors if we do allow people with this ideology and mentality to continue and for their sins to go unpunished.
Thank you, Arshi, for sharing that. I think we're going to go with Maryam. I think you have something to share as well.
Yes, thank you. the topic of why we should care, it's something that we should definitely discuss. Of course, number one reason is we're human beings, right? And fellow human beings are being massacred. We should care because we are people. But to be more practical, we're engineers, right? Let's be practical. Why should we care? It's always about power, right? When there's a majority and a minority, there's always something that doesn't sit right. When the Black Lives Matter movement was happening, I have never watched the video of George Floyd not being able to breathe. It was too much for me, but also it was too much for me because I have seen videos like that happening to Armenians. We have seen us being beheaded, ears cut off, so many horrible things that it was already familiar to me. And when people were sharing it constantly, I was hearing my Black friends saying, please don't share this video, it's traumatizing. And I empathize with that because Armenians know what it's like to see your kin be murdered and nobody cares. And why should people care? It's because we are a minority in the region. Every minority. So we know that Muslim minorities in China are being oppressed. People of color in the US are being oppressed. Armenians are a minority in the Caucasus, even though we are indigenous to the region. But nations like Turkey colonized their settlers, right? They colonized it and they settled there in the 1299. So why should you care? It's because if you don't, tomorrow is going to start a third world war and it will be too late. And this Artsakh war, the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, has multiple times been addressed as something that could start a World War III because the Caucasus is an essential region between Europe and Asia. So whoever rules the Caucasus rules the path to Asia from Europe. And people should care because if they don't, this will spin out of hand and countries will come to power that shouldn't. And then we just cannot escape a third world war.
Thank you for sharing that, Maryam. I think it's very important to pay attention to these historical events that are currently happening in order for us to understand. And, and like I said, we have to contact people in power in the US. Now we have a president-elect. Maybe we could get together. We need the US to do something about this, and other leaders around the world as well. So I believe we had a question from our audience, and I'll go ahead and have Meg answer it. I'll go ahead and show it here on the screen. Nadian, I'm sorry if I mispronounced her name, but she's asking, can someone explain the importance of Sushi to defending Armenia, please? Super important for people to understand. So let's go ahead and have Meg. I know you have a response to this, so let's go ahead and have you. Yes.
Just a quick explanation. If you look at where Sushi is located in Artsakh, it's like right at the center. So we all grew up with this saying that whoever has Sushi has Artsakh. It's like at the heart of the country. And there's what's called the Lachin corridor that is the main route that connects Armenia and Artsakh. And that's how, we enter, and our response teams will enter, how military forces would enter to back up the Armenians that are defending on the front lines. If you cut that off, you essentially cut off Armenia and all aid. So it's critical, just like how Stepanakert, which is the current capital of Artsakh, is also very critical to Artsakh and to the fate of Artsakh. I'm not sure if anyone has anything else to add, but that was just like a quick explanation.
Thank you so much, Meg. I think that's very important to answer the audience questions and really get into the understanding of what is really going on. So I believe, Maryam, you had something also to say? Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to add to that about sushi. So if you look at the pictures, it looks like a cake. It looks like a delicious cake. It's literally on on a huge cliff, right? And it's very hard to get to sushi. Um, that's why once it's taken, it's very hard to liberate. In 1994, May 9, when Armenians liberated Sushi, that meant that all of Artsakh was liberated because, as Meg mentioned, whoever has Sushi has Artsakh. Due to, if you look up, the pictures are beautiful. You can basically see, if you stand on Sushi, you see everything around you. And actually, Sushi looks over Stepanakert, so a lot of people were very worried, and rightfully so, that if Azerbaijan has Sushi, they can easily breach another ceasefire like they've done 3,000 times by now, and attack Stepanakert because of the position it has. It's higher up and it looks over Stepanakert.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that explanation. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic of, okay, so we exactly know what events led up to what happened. And now we have, we are now living post-war. So post-war, and Maryam did a great job explaining exactly what is going on. There's 100,000 Armenians that are homeless. There are men that are just disabled. So yeah, let's go ahead and hear about efforts in Armenia. So let's go ahead and go with Karina.
First off, I want to say I'm not surprised, but I'm always amazed by how quickly Armenians come together in a situation of crisis and put together whatever skills they have to help our compatriots in Armenia and Artsakh. That being said, there have been many efforts, whether it's fundraising, providing supplies, providing some type of training for life-saving measures. All these efforts that are being done by a number of organizations, it's inspiring, and I'm really glad to be part of that. So I kind of want to talk about a few things that are being done. Some really easy ways that people can support the fundraising efforts are to support Armenian businesses. I do want to say that I have a link in my bio, and I forgot to add in my Instagram handle, so I'm going to put it in the comments here. So I do want to say, if you go to that link, there is a list of direct action items people can take, including Armenian businesses that you can support. So if the holiday season's approaching, if you have birthdays, if you're you feel like buying gifts for people, please consider buying from Armenian businesses during this time. They are donating proceeds from those sales to help humanitarian efforts in Armenia. Some things that I want to shed light on, and then I think I'll pass it back to actually Maryam, who is a part of Kuidigs, and they are doing fantastic work in Armenia and Artsakh right now. So some things that are going on, people are coming together to send coats, clothing, because winter is approaching, and it's very cold in Armenia during that time. Some supplies, so organizations like Code 3 Angels, they've been collecting and also purchasing supplies, including tourniquets, first aid kits, stop bleed kits, which are essential to, it's a life or death situation, and it can make a huge difference. They're also providing training on the ground for first aid and life-saving measures. A few other things that a lot of organizations are doing are distributing food and supplies for the displaced families. There are like Adopt a Family initiatives going around where people can support a family and basically donate to them for a certain amount of months. And also really important efforts that are being done by diasporans right now is spreading a lot of information about what's going on and how you can help, because as mentioned earlier, there's a lot of mis and disinformation that's being spread online. And in order to combat that, people are creating infographics, doing Instagram lives, which also double as fundraisers. So there are a lot of opportunities for people to get involved and organizations you can donate to. And Maryam, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to kick it back over to you if you could maybe elaborate on some of the excellent work that Kuidigs has been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Karina Jan. So I want to start with what I saw in Yerevan and then what we are doing at the moment. So September 27 is when Azerbaijan attacked at 7 a.m. in the morning. Starting from that evening, just walking around Yerevan, every single corner had this huge poster saying "Aid to Artsakh," and people starting from 4 years old, I'm not kidding, going around bringing things, clothes, medicine, everything. It was adorable. It was very heartwarming, and it was very sad. But everybody came together, and now, until now, people will know that there are still a couple of central locations. In Yerevan, there was one near Matenadaran, which is in downtown Yerevan, the biggest one. People self-organized very quickly. I was very proud. Then the diaspora already started raising awareness, protesting. That's something that we just absolutely need. Thank you, everyone who has done that. That's a war that people in Armenia cannot fight, but that is a war at the moment that must be fought because we live in the age of information and data, and we can't win this. We can't survive if people don't know what's going on, right? What Quidix has been doing is we're collaborating with Yes Armenia, and we have been delivering. We delivered over 100,000 pounds of food so far, and to about 10,000 people. So that's delivering food. We realize that it's not a sustainable method of helping, but at the moment it's so urgent. People ran away from Artsakh with flip-flops on. Flip-flops, and winters in Armenia are brutal. So the fact that the diaspora has been sending clothes, winter boots, first aid kits, all of that has been extremely useful to the last Band-Aid. Everything has been extremely helpful. We're also starting to come up with more sustainable aid because at the moment there's urgent aid and hopefully sustainable aid that will help these 100,000 displaced families survive in Armenia. We started helping pregnant women because Artsakh families are big. In 3 hours, I gathered information on 53 pregnant women from Artsakh, and I'm still getting the emails. But we decided that it's important to support pregnant women because there's a lot of care that goes into giving birth, right? Hospitals are overwhelmed with COVID patients, and these women need to go to checkups, and they don't even know where to go because, well, they're staying at somebody's house that they don't even know, right? So the project for pregnant women help is called Myrik. Hopefully they'll become Myriks very soon. There are other projects that we're doing, basically individual help. We have family boxes to provide food for an average of 6-person family for about 2 months. We have found an optimal price, right? Everybody is doing this, finding the cheapest options, finding the most efficient options, but it just seems like it's never enough. So I want to remind people, if you have been donating and if you've been raising awareness, please keep at it. Please keep at it, because this is when it starts. The war ended, but this is when actually things start. This is the post-war mayhem, and without the correct information, the world won't know what's happening, and we won't get the aid that we need. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much for letting us know exactly where our funds are going, what different organizations, if we want to help family or if we want to focus on pregnant women. I think those are very important topics to discuss, and like how we could help. So if you guys have any links to these organizations, I know you're in the front line, Maryam, of helping all these people. Please let us know exactly. If you could put in the link in our YouTube live chat so we could go ahead and click on it. You know, I think overall, I think it's something very important to realize that winter is coming up and we're at post-war and these people need our help. So as much as Engineering Gals could support you guys, we're always here to support our sisters. And I know this is a very, very important historical event for the Armenians, and we're always here to support. So any type of fundraisers, if you guys want to hosts, please contact Engineering Gals. We're more than willing to help out in that aspect. If we want to do a campaign within our STEM community to help out, we could definitely start facilitating that. So let's go ahead and jump on to our last topic. I think you guys did cover most of how exactly we could help Armenians at this time, but does anyone else want to jump in and let us know exactly what links we could use? I know I added the armenianfund.org link to our Instagram post so that people could start donating there. But I think it's more than that, right? I mean, there are other organizations that are focusing on post-war activities or things that the Armenians need. So does anyone else want to add exactly how our STEM community can help out during this time? Go ahead, Karina. Yes.
I'll go ahead. So while introducing myself, I actually forgot to mention an important part that hopefully spikes our STEM peers' interests. I am the founder and director of a program called Engineer Armenia. I founded it back in 2018, and most of our focus and initiatives are on waste and water management, infrastructure rebuilding, and STEM education. Given the current situation, the humanitarian crisis in Armenia and Artsakh right now, I am leading the Engineers for Armenia initiative. And I also included in the comments my Instagram accounts, including the Engineer Armenia account, so you can go ahead and follow us and see, you know, what type of work we've done in the past and what we'll be doing, especially for the rebuilding efforts in the months to come. I do want to say it's open to anyone. Obviously, an engineering background will be very beneficial, but we're putting to use anyone with any type of background that is willing to offer their time and services and finding ways that you know, they would be most compatible in terms of the tasks and efforts. So if you're interested, please do reach out. We are assembling a team of engineers and scientists who are just incredible, whether they are students or have been working in a professional capacity for even decades. So I'm really excited to, you know, get together, rebuild our nation, strengthen our nation, and help our compatriots in Armenia and Artsakh. So if you're interested to put your STEM skills to use, please reach out to me.
Thank you so much, Karina. I think that's very important. We do have a very strong STEM community. So if anyone would like to offer their services, you know, now that you're engineers, now that you're scientists, you're able to put in all your knowledge and experience to help out the Armenians that are going through, you know, devastating events at this moment. So let's go ahead and go with Maryam.
Thank you so much. I wanted to add that if we have engineers who would like to mentor children, please let me know. You can message me, email me, maryam@quidix.com or maryam@yesarmenia.org. So I sent the Yes Armenia link in our private chat, but I couldn't send it in the comments section. Basically, I'm the project manager at Yes Armenia, which is a nonprofit that focuses on children's education. And at the moment, Arshi is our amazing mentor. We have a mentorship program where we gather people around the world who mentor Armenian children. If you would be interested in just inspiring a 14-year-old to explore their engineering options, please let me know. We have a yearly camp with MIT, and we prepare kids for a competition by NASA. So if you would like to be a speaker at our camp, please let me know. It's all about encouraging sustainable action for children, education, mentorship, and just encouragement for them to keep going no matter what happens.
Definitely, mentorship is extremely important. I think, especially during this time that the children are experiencing post-war, it's very important to keep their spirits alive and let them know that there's, you know, a future ahead of them, and they could definitely pursue some type of profession that not only will help them financially, but they could also give back to their country that definitely does need it. I think we have another comment from Laurie. Yes, Laurie. Your mic, yes.
Mute. Yeah, I think it's great that, you know, using our STEM skills and using whatever skills that we have best to kind of direct our efforts to helping Armenia and Artsakh and helping rebuild. I think one thing that, you know, anyone can do, not even STEM related, is spread awareness. Just let people know around you, like, hey, did you hear that this is happening? Another easy, like a very easy thing is you can even send, there's automated numbers that you can text to sign petitions or to your local politicians to bring awareness and to do something here. So at least there's a buzz, there's an information buzz going on. Another very easy thing you can do, and I think someone might have commented on this too, I think Nadine, you know, support Armenian businesses, support anything that's made in Armenia or your local Armenian businesses, especially through the holiday season. I think even just that purchasing these Armenian products will definitely at least help boost their economy a little bit, and avoid buying things made in Turkey is what I wanted to say as well. But even small actions that you can take can really make a big difference.
Thank you, Laurie, for that. I think just spreading awareness, spreading information, spreading the links. I think something that one of our audience members said is just buying holiday gifts from Armenian businesses. If they're located here in California, in the US, buy from that Armenian business, because, you know, we empower them financially. They could go back and even give back to their country. And you know, buying from Armenian businesses would probably be mostly ideal, you know, because that way we're empowering the Armenians to give back. And also, you know, if you guys want to volunteer, maybe you're not in a position of donating money, but maybe you're in a position of donating your time. You could join Arshi and Maryam with the mentorship, mentoring and inspiring the Armenian youth. So let's go ahead, guys. You know, let's go ahead and close this event. Thank you so much, all of you guys, for joining us today. And thank you to the audience members for being interactive and letting us know exactly how we could help our Armenian sisters and brothers, and how important this historic event. We need to keep adding and informing people, because as Meg mentioned earlier, you know, the mainstream media isn't covering this. So it's within our best interest to have this information and to share this information. So thank you so much, you guys. If you guys have any other closing remarks, please do so now. And thank you so much for joining the Engineering Gals YouTube live event. We appreciate you. If you guys want to go ahead and send us a message, if you guys want to join these amazing women in their efforts, please let them know. I think everyone tagged their Instagram handle. You guys could reach out. So yeah, so let's go ahead and go with closing remarks. We'll go ahead and start with Meg.
Yeah, thank you, Maritza, so much for organizing this and Engineering Gals. I think the biggest way that our colleagues can help us is lend us, you know, your voice. Armenians are always at the forefront of any act of injustice that we see going on in the world, whether it's, you know, in Ethiopia or in the Philippines. We're always there, and we really appreciate non-Armenians who come out and lend their voices for us and fight for us. So please stay informed, ask any of us for more information. And also for anything that you read on the media, keep a temperature check, you know, ask yourself, does it make sense? Does it make sense that a nation of 3 million Armenians is gonna provoke Azerbaijan that has, you know, 10 million people, or Turkey that has 80 million people? So just use, you know, critical thinking, ask us questions. And something else is show some love to your Armenian friends and colleagues, because we're going through a lot right now. You know, not only are we going through the elections that are going on here, we're going through coronavirus just like all of you, we're working full time, but we're also going through a lot, and we have been going through a lot generationally. So check in on your friends and just, let them vent or ask their opinion on things. And thank you so much for having me on here. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much, Meg, for that. Anyone else with closing remarks? We'll go ahead and go with Arshi.
Thank you. First and foremost, I do also myself want to thank you, Maritza. Thanks to Engineering Gals for putting on this extremely important live event. What I want to say to all the viewers is that, like Maryam mentioned, we cannot wait for the media, especially the Western media, to inform us about what is right and what is good. So we, in this century, have all the tools that we need to spread awareness and to spread the truth and to spread what is good. And I want to urge everyone to maybe be a little bit less passive. Caring about your fellow human is cool. Caring about the Black Lives Matter movement is cool. Caring about the Armenians that are being massacred in the Caucasus is also cool. So the reason why this is so important is because our actions of today create our society of tomorrow. So again, thank you all for watching. Thank you guys who know about Armenia, who are allies, and then thanks for those people who maybe learned a little bit about our culture.
Thank you, Arshi, for that. It's very important to, keep our non-Armenian friends informed and let them know exactly how we could help. I think we have Maryam for closing remarks.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone for joining, and thank you, Maritza, for organizing this. Sushi and I are very happy that this event happened. But as Arshi said, it just really takes minimum effort to care, and caring is cool, but also it means a lot to us. We collectively have escaped a horrible death number of times, and our ancestors have done that. So just reaching out and saying, hey, how are you, means a lot. And also, I'm personally very liberal, and I have been following New York Times and BBC all my life. But after this war, I realized they're extremely biased, and extremely not very good at journalism. Let's just put it this way. So as Meg said, just keep a temperature check. And do your critical thinking, and sometimes maybe just message me or other girls on the team right now and ask, hey, what do you think about this? And we will be more than happy to chat with you, because it means so much to us that we are literally escaping death, and somebody messages us and says, hi, how are you? Let me see how you're doing.
Thank you. Yes, of course. Please reach out to our Armenian sisters. Let's go with Karina for closing remarks.
I think the gals touched upon a lot of things that we are all feeling and we want to express. I do want to add, for those who have been reaching out, for those who have been donating, volunteering, just being a support system, thank you. We see you, and we need more of you guys out there. Please feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to me anytime. If you guys have questions, if you want to get involved, if you don't know where to start, don't hesitate to ask. We are more than happy to, point you in the right direction and get you guys started on things that you can be involved in. Also, please don't stop talking about this. It doesn't go away, from one day to the next. Talk about this with your friends, with your family, your peers, your colleagues. We need you guys to amplify our voices, and we need your support in every which way and form. And lastly, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Maritza and the Engineering Gals, for hosting this event, for providing us a platform to share what's going on right now in Armenia and Artsakh, and how everyone can get involved. And thank you to everyone who's been tuning in and asking questions. Please don't stop talking about Armenia and Artsakh. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you so much. We're always here to help out. We'll go with Laurie for closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you. So again, just to build on closing remarks from the other women, Maritza, thank you so much for hosting this. Thank you to Engineering Gals for creating just like an amazing, just general like network of women in STEM who can support each other and encourage each other. You know, just to build on what everyone else said, just keep on sharing, keep on, you know, sharing information. And I think as Armenians, it's really important for us to remember, like, to keep our culture alive and going. It's really easy, especially like if you're in an area that there's not a really big Armenian community. It's really easy to just get washed out. And you know, but we need to keep our Armenian language alive. We need to, you know, listen to our Armenian music and dance our Armenian dances. And I know that was a really big part of like my childhood. So just keep the culture alive, because without that, I don't see how we can continue on without like our rich culture. And I kind of just wanted to close on a really, I guess, famous or important quote. And I know this is a quote that's been shared a lot, especially with everything going on recently, but this really hits home to me. William Saroyan wrote this quote, and he says, "Send them into the desert without bread or water, burn their homes and churches, then see if they will not laugh, sing, and pray again. For when two of them meet anywhere in the world, see if they will not create a new Armenia." And it's true. As soon as any one of us meet each other, I remember the first time I met Arshi, I was like, oh my God, another Armenian woman in engineering. This is amazing. So thank you again to Maritza for getting us together. And I always love meeting women in STEM, especially Armenian women in STEM, and you just feel that instant connection. So just wanted to say thank you again.
Thank you, Laurie, for sharing that quote. That was a very powerful quote there. And yeah, thank you so much to everybody in this panel. Thank you so much for supporting Engineering Gals. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us in this platform. And I just want to thank the audience. Thank you for tuning in to our live event. Please share this information with your family, your friends. And from now on, you know, I'm talking to our audience members. Now that we heard what's going on in Armenia, what are the next steps? The next steps is to donate your money, donate your time. There's always something for you to do to help our Armenian sisters and brothers that are going through post-war. So I will be linking all the fundraisers, the petitions, the organizations, so that you could reach out and you could continue this fight along with our Armenian brothers and sisters. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Please stay tuned with Engineering Gals. You can become a member now through engineeringgals.com. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys on Instagram.